Good day, everyone. We are Group 2 and we will be discussing the philosophical perspectives. So, we will talk about the different philosophies of education in here and its implication to the teaching and learning process. But before that, let me first introduce myself and my groupmates. I am Christine with my groupmates Janice, Gina May, and Rosalie. So, today we'll be discussing philosophical perspectives, their implication to the teaching and learning process, and we will be answering the questions why, what, and how. First, the classical perspectives. It consists of idealism, realism, existentialism, and pragmatism, wherein these educational philosophies focus heavily on what we should teach or the curriculum aspect. And the modern philosophies are Perennialism, Progressivism, and Humanism. These educational philosophical approaches are currently used in classrooms the world over. It focuses on issues of knowledge, skepticism, justification, rationalism, and reliance on science. And lastly, postmodern philosophies. Postmodernism was born of skepticism and suspicion of reasons. It challenged the notion that there are universal certainties or truths. Many postmodernists appear to deny that an objective really exists and appear to deny that there are objective moral values. So let's discuss the first classical perspective, the idealism. Idealism is a theory that ultimate reality lies in a realm transcending phenomena. It was proposed by Socrates and Plato. So this idealism believes that the world has two forms, the spiritual and the material. And for idealism, the spiritual is far more important than the material. So a person's way of thinking, of knowing, and of feeling or of acting are more important than material possessions, than early materials, early things, or objects. Because for idealism, the prime aim of life, or the main purpose of living, is to achieve spiritual values. And these spiritual values are the values that are undying. These are the permanent values, the transcending values, because these values transcends time and space, meaning kahit nag-iiba ng panahon or kahit nagbabago na ang lahat sa mundo, these values are here and it doesn't change. And these are the values of truth, of beauty, and of goodness. Kasi according to idealism, once the learners learn or understand what is true, what is beautiful, what is good, then the learner's capacity to know, to feel, or to act will also be harnessed. So it really is very important, according to idealists, that you have schools or teachers or parents that would teach you how to think well, how to feel well, and how to act, so that they may be able to have better life ahead. So now, according to idealism, ideas are the only true reality, and that it's even more important than objects and materials. So what is the implication of this one to education? So since Plato believed that each individual or each learner has his or her own version of ideal self, so when we say ideal self, this is the kind of person this learner wants to be or to become. This is the kind of life that he or she desires or the dream that they want to accomplish. And each of us, according to Plato, has this. So we have our own picture of ideal self or of the ideal life. So the role now of the school and the teachers are to help these learners attain this ideal self. So in idealism, the focus is oneself. So you have to give more importance to self, to how you improve yourself, how to attain your ideal self. That is why idealist believes that the main purpose of the school or of the teachers is to help each learner discover his or her full potential. The school and the teachers should help students become what he or she wants to become in the future. The school and the teachers should help the learners develop or unleash his or her capacity or to fully develop his or her personality. There is also a need, according to idealists, to inculcate among the learners that they have to be good. They have to make sure that they are good, they live a good life, so that they may be able to serve the community a lot better. So, you teach the learners, according to the idealists, to be good or to be better so that they would become a better members of the society. And once they become better members of the society, then there is an assurance that they also serve the community a lot better. That is why the emphasis of idealism would be subjects that would teach the students how to feel, how to know, how to act, and how to think, like philosophy, literature, religion, and history. So these are the subjects that would teach individuals proper way of thinking, of knowing, and of feeling, and of acting. And it's very important for the idealist to develop the character of a certain learners. And the character development is done through emulation of examples or of heroes. So if you would be an idealist teacher, then you would teach values by means of presenting the life story of saint or of heroes. And based on these life stories, the students would extract values from that and would tend to own the values, and they will be motivated to live exactly how these heroes and saints live their lives. So it is more on emulation. Teacher gives different individuals who are worthy to be emulated by the learners. So that is how values are being taught, or that's how character is being developed by using the principle of idealism. Next is realism.
Realism, it is the opposite of idealism, and this was proposed by Aristotle and St. Thomas. According to realism, the world we see or the world we perceive is to be true. Everything that is seen is true. Everything that passes through our senses is totoo. Lahat ng nakikita natin at nangyayari is totoo. So, ang pinaka-distinct feature of realism is to see is to believe. Kasi, what is the actualities of life is that what is real. Everything that is happening, everything that we see, everything that we experience, everything that you go through, these are realities. And according to realism, the ultimate reality is the world of physical objects. The world is material. Ultimate reality of the world is spiritual, but it's more of physical. Reality is independent of the human mind, even if you don't think of it, even if you don't have any idea about it, as long as you see that, so long as it's existing, you witness that then that this is reality. What we believe now is only a fraction of the whole reality. In education, the most effective way to find out reality is to study it through organized, separate, and systematically arranged matter. Studying science and mathematics among by definite answers. The subjects nature, science, and vocation allows the students to be prepared for actual experiences, so that the students should be given opportunities to experience realities based on actual day-to-day living. Realists claim that it is really a lot better for individuals to be taught using the language that they already understand. Like mother tongue, it is the foundation for all subjects, our livelihood. Character development means you will be trained, you are exposed to a lot of scenarios, and then you will be trained to respond to these certain scenarios.
Next is existentialism.
The philosophy of existentialism is given by Jean-Paul Sartre and Søren Kierkegaard, and the defining feature of existentialism is existence precedes essence. When we speak about existence, we mean presence, we being alive and we being here on earth. And essence means our purpose, our function, our significance, or our importance. So, existence precedes essence according to Sartre, that our presence comes before our significance. So meaning, we need to be alive first for us to know our purpose. The person has to experience the life first and walk through a lot of path first before he or she would know his real essence. That is why this philosophy is known to be the philosophy of subjectivity because it believes in the power of man to create his own life and to create his own world. According to the existentialist, man is capable enough of creating his own life, creating meaning out of life provided him, and man is capable enough to do whatever he wants in life. This is why na kapag nagtagumpay ka, then congratulate yourself. But if you fail, then do not blame other people of your failure. Hence, you have to blame no one except yourself because you make your life, you make your own choices, and that you live your own life. No one is in control of your life except yourself. That is why the existentialist claims that people are free to choose what to make of their lives and their individual passions are what drive them. So, we are free to choose kung ano ang gusto natin sa buhay. Because we have our own rationality and people are highest form of animals. And we are free to choose what we want to do with our lives and that our individual passions are what drives us. So meaning, the life people creates depend on the passion or goal that drives them. So why teach the philosophy of existentialism? The main concern of existentialists is to help students guide and appreciate themselves as unique individuals. The role of the teacher is to guide the students, help the students understand themselves as well as their potential and their skills. And the teachers have to help the students appreciate themselves as unique individuals. Because students are not the same and these individuals are born uniquely and differently from the rest of the world. An existentialist also believes that those students must be taught how to accept complete responsibility for their thoughts, feelings, and actions. So, no matter what happened, the teacher or the student must accept the fact that they have to be responsible for whatever it is that happens in their life. So, what is then the role of the existentialist teacher? The existentialist teacher's role was to help students define their own essence. The teacher should guide the students to look or find their own essence, their own purpose depending on their own potential. So how would a teacher do it? First, by exposing them to various paths they take in life. So the teacher must present them life alternatives. For example, presenting students the life choices. So based on the life choices presented, the teacher must let the students choose. The teacher is not the one to choose for them. Second, by creating an environment in which they freely choose their own preferred way. So the role of the teacher is just to set everything, guide the students, help them find their real purpose, their potential, and skills. According to the existentialist, since feeling is not divorced from reason in decision making, the existentialists demand the education of the whole person, not just the mind. So meaning, your feeling is connected to your reason or your mind is intertwined with your heart. So, hindi daw pwedeng hiwalay ang mind and heart. Your head and your heart should work hand in hand based sa paniniwala ng existentialist. So, if the head and heart daw ay inseparable, then the existentialist should make sure that he develop the whole personality of the person. There should be a holistic growth for the person and not just developing the mind. The existentialists do not believe in creating intellectual monsters. Sabi nila, wag mo lang dapat binibigyan ng piece of information yung mga bata. Hindi mo lang daw dapat ginagawang matalino. You are not supposed to be creating intellectual monsters according to the existentialist. Your job as a teacher is to develop the heart, to develop the mind, and make sure that their growth and development is holistic. So, what to teach in an existentialist classroom? First, students are given a wide variety of options from which to choose from. So, the teacher only has to offer choices to the students, and that the humanities, however, are given tremendous emphasis to provide students with vicarious experiences that will help unleash their own creativity and self-expression. So, humanities subjects are given priority because, according to the existentialist, this subject would help students unleash their potential and discover their own creativity and self expression. Teacher helps students define their essence, so meaning it is not the teacher that defines the essence of the students. The teacher just helps the students define their own essence and help them find their own purpose, their own potential, and help them unleash this potential. That is why it is very essential that you develop them holistically. Holistic development make good decision. So if the teacher helped the students develop themselves holistically, that they would become good decision makers because kapag isang tao daw ay nag-decide gamit ang utak tsaka puso, then ang decision talaga niya would be the best decision that he could ever come up with. That is why in the existentialist classroom, the learner is the centered. So then the interest and the needs of the student must also be prioritized. The students are the center of everything, the center of the teaching and the learning, not the curriculum. So meaning, kapag ayaw ng mga students na kung bagay na ito, huwag mo munang ituro. Kung hindi sila handa, huwag mo muna silang turuan. That is why existentialists focus on the individual himself and the learning is self-paced and self-directed. So teachers as well do not impose values in existentialist classroom because values are too personal. Teachers show the students the values and then they will let the students be the one to decide kung anong values ang i-uphold nila. Your job as a teacher is only to present them the values and then you let them understand the importance of such value and the importance of acquiring such value. The learning is self-paced and self-directed. So, kung kailan sila handang matuto, doon ka pumasok. Kung ano gusto nila pag-aralan, yun ang pag-aaralan nila. Kung kailan nila gustong makinig, doon sila makikinig. That is why the teachers are merely facilitators of the learning process. And the task of the teacher is to craft creative strategies like that of the differentiated task so that all potentials of the students will be tapped. An example of differentiated tasks is by grouping students depending on their skills and interest.
Lastly, pragmatism.
Pragmatism. Pragmatism was proposed by John Dewey and Charles Peirce. Pragmatism believes that thoughts must produce actions. Like this in this picture, it shows that the children discovered some things on their own. They learn to find solutions to real-world problems and take on active roles in their own learning. And pragmatism believes that experience and useful is true. Thoughts must produce actions. Actions are more important than thoughts. In education, the pragmatism believes that it should be student-centered. It involves students to work in groups. It stresses application of what I've learned rather than the transfer to the organized body of knowledge. In curriculum, pragmatism believes that it should be framed on the principles of unity, interest, and experience. It should not focus on facts, theories, not how the students solve life problems. Subjects to be taught should help the students solve practical problems. Example, language, science, agriculture, domestic science. Life is the subject matter of instruction. In overall, in a pragmatist classroom, the teacher might encourage students to find solutions to real-world problems and take on active roles in their own learning. The teacher might facilitate discussions and debates that challenge students to think critically and creatively. For example, the teacher might have students research and debate the merits of different renewable energy resources and propose their own policy recommendations.
Next is modern philosophies. First, perennialism.
Perennialism, it is proposed by Robert Hutchins and Mortimer Adler, means it is ageless, eternal, and unchanged. Perennialism, why teach? Because we are all rational animals, school should therefore develop the students' rational and moral powers. According to Aristotle, if we neglect the students' reasoning skills, we deprive them of the ability to use their higher faculties to control their passion and appetites. and what to teach, the perennialist curriculum is a universal one on the view that all human beings possess the same essential nature. It is heavy on the humanities and general education, and perennialism, there is a less emphasis on vocational and technical education. Perennialism, what are the perennialist teachers teach are lifted from the great books. It is history based on religion, literature, and it is the past ideas that is relevant. Understand the great book of civilization. It is also curriculum based in recurrent themes. The perennialist classrooms are centered on teachers. The teachers do not allow the students' interests or experiences to substantially dictate what they teach. And the last is students engage in Socratic dialogues or mutual inquiry sessions to develop an understanding of history's most timeless concepts.
Next, Progressivism.
The philosophy of progressivism is given by John Dewey, and it is about learning by doing. Progressivism contrasted essentialism and perennialism because progressivism believes in the change and growth. Everything changes everything and everyone grows. The learners are enlightened and intelligent to fully live now. Learners in progressivism classroom should be enlightened and should be intelligent so that they may be able to fully live their lives now, not tomorrow, but now. Why teach progressivism? In progressivist classroom, progressivist teachers teach to develop learners into becoming enlightened and intelligent citizens of a democratic society. You must be enlightened and intelligent so that you may become a good citizen of a society, and that is you live your life now. There are a lot of times we are so busy preparing for our future that we tend to ignore the present. We always have seized today and tomorrow is yet another story based sa paniniwala ng mga progressivists. This group of teachers teach learners so they may live fully now, not to prepare them for the adult life. So, the most important in a progressivist is that you must know how to live your life now. Ang future daw ay kaya mo nang pag-aralan, and you just have to cross the bridge when you get there. The progressivists are identified with need-based and relevant curriculum. So meaning, kung anong kailangan ng mga student now, yun ang ituturo mo. Kung ano ang pinaka-relevant ngayon, yun ang ituturo mo. Kung ano ang trending ngayon, yun ang kailangan nilang pag-aralan. That is why this is curriculum that respond to students' needs and they relate to students' personal lives and experiences. So, they need it now, so you teach them that now. The progressivists accept the impermanence of life and the inevitability of change. So progressivists as well accept impermanence of life. So nothing is permanent. Change is the only thing that does not change. Hence, progressivist teachers are more concerned with teaching the learners the skill to cope with change. Hence, progressivist teachers are more concerned with teaching the learners the skill to cope with challenge. So, this is the focus. Instead of occupying themselves and teaching facts or bits of information that are true today but became very obsolete tomorrow, they would rather focus on teaching of the skills that they need every day, especially in solving problems that they might be meeting later on and solving problems that are already existing nowadays. That is why the subject that are given emphasis in progressivist school are the natural and social sciences. Teachers expose the students to many scientific, technological, social development and reflecting the progressivist notion that progress and change are fundamental. So, how to teach in a progressivist classroom? Progressivist teachers employ experiential method. One learns by doing. Book learning is no substitute for actual experience according by John Dewey. One experiential teaching method that progressivist teachers heavily rely on is the problem-solving method. So, hindi ka lang dapat daw bookish. Hindi lang daw dapat lahat ng tinuturo mo ay galing sa libro. Dapat yung mga tinuturo mo ay ina-apply din ng mga students because one learns by doing. So, you teach them the theory and at the same time, you ask them to apply the theory learned in real life. So, it's more application of what is learned. And another thing, sabi ng mga progressivists, dapat bigyan mo din sila ng mga activities that involve problem-solving methods. So, you give them problems that are existing in the society and then you give them opportunities as well to think of the process of the possible solution to that problem. Kaya nga sabi nilang mga progressivist teacher, there is a need for hands-on activities. Hands-on, minds-on, hearts-on teaching methodology such as field trips, thought-provoking games, and puzzles. So according to the progressivists, there is a need for hands-on, minds-on, hearts-on activities and teaching methodologies, and you have to expose the students to the real issues, to the real societal problems, and you can only do that if you give them field trips, and if you would give them thought-provoking games, and if you give them puzzles that you have to solve.
Lastly is humanism.
Humanism was proposed by Abraham Maslow and Carl Rogers. The humanist believes that it focuses on human virtue. As you look at the picture, it shows that the students are seen as unique individuals with their own needs, interests, and abilities. Humanism is a philosophy that stresses the importance of human factors rather than looking at religious, divine, or spiritual matters. It is rooted in the idea that people have an ethical responsibility to lead lives that are fulfilling, at the same time contributing to the greater good for all people. This theory and approach in education takes roots in humanistic psychology, with the key concepts focusing on the idea that children are good at the core and that education should focus on rational ways to teach the whole child. This theory states that a student is the authority in how they learn, and that all of their needs should be met for them to learn well. Maslow and humanistic psychology suggest that students are inherently good and will make good decisions when all their needs are met. Humanism focuses on the idea that learners bring out the best in themselves and that humans are driven by their feelings more than rewards and punishments. This belief that humans are driven by feeling causes educators who understand humanistic psychology to focus on the underlying human emotional issues when they see bad behavior, not to just punish the bad behavior. The humanistic learning theory developed further and harnessed the idea that if students are upset, sad, or distressed, they're less likely to be able to focus on learning. This encourages teachers to create a classroom environment that helps students feel comfortable and safe so they can focus on their learning. Emotions are at the center of humanism. Principles of humanistic learning. Student choice. Fostering engagement inspires students to become self-motivated to learn. The importance of self-evaluation. Feelings and knowledge are both important to the learning process and should not be separated. A safe learning environment. In summary, humanism philosophy of education is based on the belief that education should focus on the development of the whole person, including intellectual, emotional, social, and moral aspects.
Lastly, the postmodern philosophies. Postmodernism is a philosophical movement that arose in the second half of the 20th century as a critical response to assumptions allegedly present in modernist philosophical ideas regarding culture, identity, history, or language that were developed during the 18th century Enlightenment. The general characteristics of postmodernism is that it is characterized by both skepticism or relativism and general suspicion of reason. John Francois Lyotard defined philosophical postmodernism in the postmodernism condition, writing, simplifying to the extreme, I define old modern as incredulity towards meta-narratives. This is what postmodernism believes. First, there is no objective reality. Second, there is no scientific or historical truth or objective truth. Third, science and technology, even reason and logic, are not vehicles of human progress but suspect instruments of established power. Fourth, reason and logic are not universally valid. Then sixth is, language does not refer to a reality outside itself. Next, there is no certain knowledge. And lastly, no general theory of the natural or social world can be valid or true, or all are illegitimate meta-narratives. According to Asher and Edward, the most important point in modernism educational opinion is rationality. In modern education, teachers try to educate a logical person who can live in rational society. In this situation, teachers dominate and control students. Also, teachers know everything and determine students' position and future. In postmodernism, teachers simply guide learners to discover new things. They provide possibilities for people to discuss various topics and come up with creative solutions. Students learn to listen to other people's voices in this situation. They tolerate criticism from others and strive to think critically. They learn to respect people of other cultures and nations. And these are the important values to teach according to postmodernism. First, striving for diversity. So it does not mean that students shall be accepting cultural practices and beliefs without question. Next, tolerance. It is the acceptance of the differing views of other people and the fairness towards the people who hold these different views. Then, freedom. Considerable autonomy is given to both teachers or localizing acts in the classroom and students in terms of their decision making. Fourth, creativity. It is the ability to use imagination to develop new and original ideas or things. Next, emotions. Expressing strong feeling directly towards a specific object, which is accompanied by sociological and behavioral changes in the body. Last is intuition. It is immediate cognition or a feeling that guides a person to act a certain way without fully understanding why. So, postmodernism emphasizes the importance of power relationships, personalization, and discourse in the construction of truth and worldviews. Postmodernists deny that an objective reality exists and deny that there are objective moral values. That would be all. We hope that you have learned something in this video. So these are our references for our topic.